Hello, welcome to the Desert Blockchain Citizens Workshop on Saturdays, August the 14th, 2021. It is about 11:02 a.m. Arizona time and Pacific time. And I would like to welcome you to the workshop today. If you haven't been to one of these before, and basically, these are workshops that are designed to be fun, educational, and hands-on, where you can learn about blockchain, decentralization, the Internet of Things, cryptocurrencies, and a variety of topics. We have these workshops every Saturday now from 11 a.m. to noon, Arizona time. That is the compressor warming up the target range. And I'm going to be turning it over in a minute here to Shane Sandler. But my name is Jay Carpenter. I'm the founder of Desert Blockchain. And this is a fairly new set of events that are designed to teach, have fun, and also build community around decentralization. So if you want to start following along, letting us know some suggestions and so forth, please do. Anybody's welcome to follow along on the live stream. You can also join the meetup on meetup.com, desert-blockchain. And all of our initiatives are supported by our citizens, which is $10 a month on Patreon. So there are links in the meetup, and there will be links underneath the YouTube live stream. So this is completely community supported. We don't take any sponsorships, and that is our way to stay decentralized and Swiss neutral, so shall we say. So that's our introduction. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat in the YouTube live stream, or join us via Zoom as a Desert Blockchain citizen. You can actually interact with Shane and myself and others that join. And I'm going to turn it over now to Shane Sandler. And take it away, Shane.
All right, thanks, Jay. Welcome to our Saturday stream. Here goes. The balls are wet. They really put out a puff of water vapor there. That's pretty fun. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and fire off a couple tennis balls here so you can see what we got going on. And then we will go into some of the coding. So as you saw there, we're shooting tennis balls out. We've also got this water cannon bot here. This is your water. See that one on the left there. The tech check, mic test. Tech check. Let's see what's going on with the mic. Looks like it's good. I just had to be in front of it when I was walking over there. I might have lost it a little bit. I've got another mic over on the bot, and I'm walking over there, so hopefully you'll still be able to hear me there. And then I'm also controlling this all on my phone using Telegram. So we'll go ahead and arm the bot. All right, so there is a mic on this camera here too that's not quite as good as the other one, so hopefully you can still hear me. I have to be over here in order to load these up manually. I do plan on getting my automatic reloader working this week, and then people should be able to play 24/7. All right, we're just going to keep on firing some of these doggy tennis balls. So you can aim at targets. You can try to hit whatever it is that you want to aim at. So this whole thing whole front end is hosted on Telegram, and this chat here, so anyone can access it. Oh, cool. Flash the camera right off on that one. All right. So I'll go ahead and leave that loaded in case anyone wants to play with it while we're going through some of our tutorial stuff today. Go ahead and send it back around so you can see water cannon bot again. So let me go back and show that a little bit more. So here's the water cannon bot. It works basically the same way. Except decided it doesn't want to respond. So just right left doesn't want to respond for some reason. Left is working. Oh, there we go. We're back. Not sure why it. Oh, that must be the right limit. That's far right. Go. Let me adjust that real quick. Yeah. Let's twist that around just a little bit. All right, more like there. There we go. So now we'll go down, we'll go left, down, left, and we'll give it fire. You see the water stream coming out on that one? Great. Okay, so that is the basics of what we've got going on here. And then something that we're going to be talking about a lot today is Stellar. So that is the cryptocurrency backend that we're using for this bot. So you probably saw here in chat after I fire the bot, disarms and then awards me turret token. So turret token is a custom token created on the Stellar network. So our bot here has a slash account function. So it'll, when you type slash account or when you first fire, and it'll make you an account, then it'll give you your Stellar information. So it actually sends it in a direct message so that your private account information isn't shared with the whole chat. This is just running on testnet, so if your secret key does get out, it's not a big deal. That's why I'm going to show you mine right now. You can see that from this direct message from the Cannoneer bot, send me my public key, my secret key, and a link to my personal favorite Stellar Block Explorer. Let's go ahead and share my screen here so you can see the link that I just pulled up. This window. Okay, so you can see here, this is the link that I just pulled up that the bot DMs you when you type in slash account, and it'll send you that the first time you fire the bot. You don't have to account as well after it makes you a new account. So this is a basic Stellar testnet account, like I said, it's running on basenet. And since it's a testnet account, you can get 10,000 XL test lumens for free. And then every time I fired it, it's giving me a turret token, 1 TRRT. Reward from Turret Cannoneer, which is the old name. I need to update that to Crypto Cannoneer. And so you're seeing just now, so it is 11:10 here, which I guess is 18:10 UTC. So, you know, I got a turret token 3 minutes ago, 3.5 minutes ago, 4 minutes ago. These are all from these test fires that I've been doing. We can go ahead and do another fire right here. Go ahead and arm it. Fire it. That is really dramatic with the all the water pressure. It's actually blasting the barrel right off the cannon. So we can now refresh our Stellar account here, and we should have 10 turret tokens. There it is. Got one more from that fire we just did. So what's really cool about this is that, you know, if we were on Ethereum or some of these other slower proof of work networks, there's no way we'd be able to confirm a transaction that fast. It would just be way too expensive to be sending microtransactions like this. This is one of the main reasons why I'm so excited to be building on Stellar for this project. Is because, you know, you can send, I think, 10,000 transactions for about a cent. So we can send turret token one at a time all day long and not rack up a huge bill. With the totally impossible with Ethereum gas fees. So that is a basic overview of sort of the back end that we've got going on here. One of the other things I really like about this particular Stellar Explorer, Stellar Expert, is how it displays the financial basis for a token. So this is a custom turret token that I've created, and it's just on testnet. But you can see the logo here, you can see the associated website, you can see the total supply, you can see all the activity, everyone who's either trading it or earning it, however it's being sent around. You can see all the current offers available on the Stellar decentralized exchange. If people were selling turret token or buying turret tokens, you can see all the active offers. You can even see all the current holders. So you go here and you can see all the accounts that are holding turret token right now.
I think we might have Zoom like a different mic.
Okay, let's see what's going on with Zoom. Let's see. Oh, sure do.
Sorry about that, everybody. Let's see. Let me test my mic. Let's see here. That should be working. Can you hear it better now, Jay? All right, so sorry about that. I can just do a quick review of that I was just talking about, since it might not have gotten picked up real well on the mic there. Let me double check my audio settings real quick, make sure everything much better. All right, good to hear. Okay, sorry, I had the wrong mic enabled on Zoom. So let's go back here, and you can see this is my preferred Stellar Block Explorer, Stellar Expert. This is what we pulled up after we clicked direct message from the Cannoneer bot. Like I was saying, you probably couldn't hear. If you're in the Cannoneer chat, or if you're in a direct message with the Cannoneer bot, you can type /account, and it'll give you your account information. It sends it to you in a direct message so that other people in the chat can't see your private info. But since this is just on Stellar Testnet, it's not a big deal. I can show you all that private account info. So you got your public account key and GCM, yada, 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 PK7. That's our account. And then that's our secret key, which is what we use to actually sign transactions. And then this link here is what I'm clicking to pull up Stellar Expert. So Stellar Expert is just one of many block explorers for Stellar. And it shows you your account. It shows the turret token we've been earning. So we can go back here, even though I haven't loaded up a ball yet, we can still arm and fire it, and it will award me with turret token for successfully firing. So firing, disarmed, award. So this is it awarding the turret token. And then after it gets a confirmation from the Stellar network, there you see success. So success means that it went through. So transactions confirm on Stellar in about 5 seconds and cost, there we go. Now we're up to 11 turret token, cost fractions of a penny to send. So we can send out these microtransactions all day long without racking up huge gas fees. It would be totally impossible to send microtransactions like this using a network like Ethereum, just because the gas fees would kill you. You'd be spending $5 every time you wanted to send one turret token around. So that's one of the main reasons I love Stellar, and we're able to send this token around as microtransactions. Once we get it shifted over to mainnet, it still won't be breaking the bank for us. One of the things I love about Stellar Expert here is how it showcases assets. So you can click on turret token here as an asset, and it shows you all the information you need to know about turret token. Again, this is just running on testnet. But so, you know, I created arbitrarily 21 million turret token when I first created the token. And then you can see here that we're up to 21,013,000 because it's creating more every time someone fires. We can look at all the transactions here with turret token. We can look at active offers if anyone was buying or selling turret token on the Stellar decentralized exchange. We can look at how many people have established trust lines and how many people actually hold turret token. So this is just a really nice way to review all the information about an asset. So It shows you the website that's associated with it, and you can even go over to the issuing account for how this asset is built. So this will be a nice little lead in to us talking about some of the basics behind Stellar and how accounts and assets work. Give me just 1 second to load another ball up into the cannon in case anybody wants to play while we're talking about this. Okay, so if you're not overly familiar with blockchain networks and cryptocurrencies in general, a quick tutorial that we'll talk about. Let me change my screen share over to full screen so you can see me in the Telegram window. Share screen, share. Okay, so you can see my whole computer now. So when I pull up the Telegram window and we go over to, we can just type /account if we want, and it'll direct message us all of our info, and we can click on one of those, and that brings us into the direct message here with the Cannoneer bot. So when we come in here, so the information that we're talking about here is our key pair. So pretty much every blockchain cryptocurrency network uses cryptographically secured key pairs. So your public key can be seen of as your account address. That's the key or value that you give to anyone that you want to send you cryptocurrency. So they can use that public key to send you money, and you can, that is what you see here. Actually, that's not what you see here. Oh, because that's the issuing account. So let's go ahead and click that link again. So this pulls up our public key right here. So that's our account number. So that's public information. Anyone can use that to check your balances and check your all of your public information on the blockchain. And that's what you would use to receive a payment from someone. So your secret key here is basically like your account password. It's the information that you would never want to share. If this was running on a real blockchain network, I would never show my secret key in a recorded live stream like this. But since this is testnet and we're doing this for tutorial purposes, it works just fine. So that's basically your password and your account number. And so on Stellar, accounts basically originate everything. So every transaction has to originate from an account, and every transaction type is based on whatever account it's coming from. So a lot of other networks like Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain and things like that have something called smart contracts, which allow people to interact with things that aren't necessarily accounts. They are a whole contract on their own. Stellar works a little bit differently than that. Everything that you're interacting with on Stellar is an account. So you can set up basic smart contract functionality on Stellar by using accounts and different transaction types, but you're always going to be interacting with accounts, not with smart contracts explicitly. So to get you a better idea of what I'm talking about, we'll go to the Stellar Laboratory, which this is the official sort of wallet interface from Stellar. And so you can use this you can run your entire wallet and account off of this interface here. You don't have to have like a dedicated wallet interface. You can interact directly with the Horizon API using this, but most people prefer a more user-friendly wallet. So when you're so we're running on testnet right now. As you can see, you can generate a new key pair. So like I was saying, this is your new public account key and your new secret key. And since it's testnet, you can get free test lumens by using the friend bot. And that's basically just a faucet for distributing testnet lumens. And so you can see that it was successfully funded, and transactions confirm on Stellar in about 5 seconds. The Stellar testnet doesn't have as many nodes and validators running on it, so it can be a little bit slower, but the main net pretty much always confirms in 5 seconds. So we can now take that public key and we can plug it into Stellar Expert. We can go to Stellar Expert and we'll switch it over to testnet. Like I said, the testnet can be a little bit slower. You know, there's not a lot of people running dedicated nodes just for testnet, but it's enough to get the job done. Let's refresh this. There we go. And we'll go ahead and paste our new public key in there. And now this is our new account that we just created, and we funded it with 10,000 test lumens. And you can see all that. A fun thing about blockchains is that everything is public. You know, you can track everything. So if we wanted to see the account that sent us these 10,000 lumens, we can click on this account, because this is the account that just created our account. And this is, you know, the master testnet faucet with billions of testnet lumens in it that is used to just constantly fund new accounts on testnet. And you can see everything going on there. So that is great. We will go ahead and get out of this new account we just created. We'll go back and look at the account we've been using with our turret token. And so that basically the way that this account is working is that this account was created by the Cannoneer bot. So when we go look at the back end, we can pull up let me pull up over here. So this is the back end for the Cannoneer bot. It's all running in Node-RED. And so specifically the award function is right here. This is everything that handles that Stellar backend stuff. So what you can see from this wire here is that this is triggered when the firing mechanism is triggered. So in addition to actually firing the turret, it also triggers off this award functionality. And so what you see here is that it's storing your Telegram user ID so that it can check to see if you have a Stellar account associated with your Telegram ID that is in our MySQL database right here. And so basically what it's going to do is match up. It's going to search the MySQL database for your Stellar account, or I'm sorry, for your Telegram account ID. And if you aren't already registered with an associated Stellar account, it's going to make you one. So that's what happens when you come here. That's what this check does. This check here, after it checks through the whole array of the MySQL database, it's basically saying, does an ID exist or is it null? And so if the ID exists, it's just going to go ahead and submit a payment of turret token right to your account. But if you don't have a Stellar account, it's going to trigger off this bottom pin, and it's going to go ahead and build you an account. So that'll go ahead and make you a Stellar testnet account and fund it with test lumens for you. So that is how that backend is working. So let's go back over to Stellar Expert and this account that we've been receiving lumens in, or we've been receiving turret token in. So you can see this is the account that's actually sending the turret token to my Stellar account. So we can go ahead and follow the trail there. And so this is the distributing account. So the general workflow for how you create a new token on Stellar, like I was saying, you don't use a smart contract, you actually just use accounts. So the general workflow for creating a new token is you have to change trust and then actually send the token. So we're gonna have to discuss another topic called trust lines here before this makes sense. So let's go back over to our account. So let's pull up the issuing account. So something that is similar to other blockchains that have more traditional smart contract networks is that there is a specific address associated with any token that was created. So for turret token specifically, we can pull up, oh, critical error, interesting. Let's refresh that. So this is turret token, and then this is the issuing account. So this would be the equivalent of a smart contract that generates a new token, but on Stellar, it's just an account. So this is the issuing account, and you can see assets issued by this account, turret. So this issuing account is basically the unique identifier that you would use to make sure you're buying the asset that you want. So for example, anyone else can also create TRRT token on Stellar testnet and Stellar mainnet. You can have multiple tokens with the same exact name available on the network. So the way that you distinguish between the token that you want and scams or imitators or whatever else it might be is using this unique account ID. No account can have the same public key. So the turret token that's created by this account is the one that you want. So you can know that this is the turret token you want. And then in order to make that easier for folks, you can, whoever created the token and the account can associate the account with a specific domain. So you can see that this account is associated with blockchainjurist.com. Now, again, anyone can make an account and they can claim that it's associated with blockchainjurist.com, but there is another bit of information associated with the Stellar blockchain that's actually off-chain. That's called a TOML file. You create a stellar.toml, and that is what allows you to basically talk the other direction. So instead of the blockchain claiming that this account is associated with this website, you can verify. You can say this website recognizes these accounts as being official. So I haven't built the TOML file for my testnet account, for my testnet turret, but if we go over to Stellar Expert mainnet, we can actually find that because I have built that out on RealNet. So we'll type in turret token, TRRT, and this will pull up. So this is the real Stellar network. So this is turret token running on Stellar testnet, and we'll go to the issuing account here. And you can see that not only is blockchainjurist.com listed as the home domain, but you can see, actually, I'm not seeing it at the moment. Interesting. Something apparently has gotten screwed up there, but let me go back to the main page and show you what I'm talking about here. So for example, we can check out USDC, which is a popular dollar stablecoin. So you can see the issuing account. Oh, maybe it's because I was on the wrong tab here. Let's go back to turret token here. Not the issuing account, but the actual token readout. No, it is not showing up. Sorry about that little thing. So, okay. So if my TOML file was correctly set up, you would see here in this box is the organization metadata, the currency, and the principles. So this information is all coming from the actual website here, center.io. So if the issuing account's associated website, which is listed here as center.io, doesn't have a TOML file hosted, then this won't show up. So when you see this information here, that means that the two are communicating together. So not only does this account officially list center.io as its website, but here on the USDC coin page, you can see that center.io is actively listing that this is the correct asset. So that's how you can go ahead and verify that you're interacting with the asset that you want to. And another way that you can see that in a more basic or sort of a raw form is if you go to center.io/.well-known, that's just where the stellar.toml has to be hosted. You can see the plain text version. So this is the file that they have hosted correctly on their website that verifies with the Stellar network what accounts are associated with it. So you can find the official accounts associated with real Stellar USDC to make sure you're not getting a scam coin. So that is a bit convoluted, I know, but this is what you have to do if you're trying to interact with the raw data and interact with the Stellar DEX in a raw format. So for example, you can use, there's quite a few different UIs and front ends available for the Stellar DEX. So this is Stellar X, which is one of my favorites. And so Stellar X does a pretty good job of trying to weed out some of the scam coins and make sure that you're interacting with only the real ones. So when you click USDC here, this is that coin that we were just looking at. And it's the official center.io one. So you can click on that and you can see all the trade history. You can swap it back. So this is sort of backwards. XLM's kind of on a hot streak right now. So things are looking good there. And Stellar X is fun. I like the interface here because you can change, what assets you're trading with. You can see all the information you're looking for. And it's just a pretty nice UI. So I'm a fan of that. Another popular one is Lobster. These are actually both made by the same people. Lobster has a really nice mobile interface if you want to be active on the Stellar Dex and be an active trader. And then their desktop UI is pretty good too. So this actually just defaulted to what we were just looking at. Lumens traded with USD coin. One really nice thing about Lobster is that it's a lot easier to kind of swap what assets you're looking at. So for example, people can anchor Bitcoin. And so this is basically like a Stellar wrapped version of Bitcoin right here. Apparently it's not an active trading pair. Why USDC is cool. This is a yield bearing USDC. So if you trust the issuer, which is Ultra Stellar, who are the same people who make Lobster and Stellar X, they issue a yield bearing version of USDC. And so you receive your daily yield every morning if you're holding YUSDC and you're letting them utilize your USDC. They also have a yield bearing version of XLM, which is pretty cool. That's YXLM. And so, yeah, you can scroll through here and you can see all the assets available on the Stellar Dex. You can also search for custom assets like Turret Token. It's interesting how some of these UIs decide what tokens to display and not. Most of them have some sort of requirements for like trade volume and things like that to try to help protect their consumers. And for example, I think Turret Token used to show up and I think shows up on the app, but some of them don't show up, show custom assets that like don't have any volume on them. So let's go ahead and see if we can pull it up on Stellar Term here. So Stellar Term is cool. It's like a very basic interface. So it looks like something has gone wrong with my Toml file hosting. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and get that fixed, figure out what happened there. Okay, so getting back into some of the Stellar basics. So kind of went on a long bit there. Sorry, I have to pull this down so that the Zoom bar doesn't get in the way of my tabs. Oh, come on. Okay, so, welcome. So getting back into how you create a custom token on Stellar. So like I was saying, tokens are created by accounts, not by smart contracts explicitly. So what I was going to get in, the other sort of building block I was going to get into was trust lines. So on a lot of blockchains like Ethereum, for example, anyone can send you any asset, and it can get really annoying when people just start spamming you with junk assets that they're just trying to get you to buy or interact with, or it can be even more devious because they can say, look, we've got 1 million people who hold our token because they just sent it out to 1 million people. So Stellar has combated that by making it so that you can only hold assets that you've established a trust line with. You've just said, hey, I want to hold this asset, so people can't just send you junk, which is a really great feature. So when you're trying to create a new asset, it requires 2 accounts in order to create a new asset. You have to have the issuing account, which is the account that is going to be associated with the issuance of the asset, and that's what gives it its unique account identifier. And then you have to have a distributing account. So it's basically if you're doing like an initial coin generation event, you would send all of your tokens to the distribution account, and then you would lock the issuing account. And that would tell everyone that no more of this token can ever be created. So that's the data you're seeing right here, account lock status. So this account is currently unlocked. And so once you set this account to be locked, then it can never be unlocked, and you'll never be able to produce more of that token. And so that's how you can create an immutable token supply if you want it to be deflationary and have a set token amount. So once you've decided your issuing account, so let's say we're going to use that account that we just made in the Stellar Laboratory. We'll use this as an issuing account. Let me make a new text document here just to save this info real quick. So we'll save that and we'll save our secret key. We'll use that as our issuing account. And then, so like I said, we need a distribution account. And so we'll go ahead and generate a new key pair. And let's go ahead and fund that key pair as well. And I will store this in this text document as well. Okay, so now we've got the two accounts we need. So let's go ahead and create a new token. So we'll go over here to build transaction. Our source account is going to be our, so the first step we have to do is create trust from our distribution account into our issuing account. So we have to say, hey, I want to accept whatever asset you're about to create, which can be a little bit counterintuitive because the asset hasn't been created yet, but that's what you have to do in order to actually send that token. So we'll go ahead and use this as the source account. Interesting. So that shouldn't start with an S. So secret keys start with S's. So it looks like that was just didn't copy and paste correctly. Let's go ahead and put that in again. There we go. That's our actual public key. So we'll go ahead and build a transaction using this public key. And this is, again, this is our distribution account. We have to fetch our next sequence number, and that's what Stellar uses to make sure transactions are submitted in the correct order. We can leave our base fee at default. That only matters if the Stellar network is super congested and you want to pay extra transaction fees in order to get your transaction prioritized. We can leave the time bounds as default, or we can set it for 5 minutes from now. Doesn't really matter unless you wanted to make it so that that transaction expired after a set amount of time. And so we're going to go in here and we're going to do change trust. And what do we want this new asset to be called? Let's just name it test. That's a good asset name. And then the issuing account is going to be this account here that we've decided is our issuing account. And we can leave trust limit as default. This would be if you wanted to limit the amount of tokens you're willing to hold in this account. And that really only matters if you're using like path payment and some more advanced functionality. And we don't have to set the source account because that is the account that we're using for the transaction. So we could just submit this exactly as it is and then do the actual token creation in a separate transaction, but we don't have to. We can actually do it all in one transaction. So we can add an operation. And ooh, this duplicate feature is new. That's cool. I like that. Anywho, so what we're going to do in order to actually create this token is what we're going to do is just send it as a payment. So the destination is going to be our distributing account here. We're going to go ahead and set that as our destination. We're not sending native XLM. We're sending our custom test asset, and you have to tell it who the issuing account is for that test asset, so it knows what the unique identifier in case there's other test assets on the test network, which is very likely. And let's go ahead and send 500 test token. And so this is where we have to change the source account. The source account for this transaction is our issuing account. So that is the account that issues the asset and actually sends the payment. And that is all we have to do to create a new token. We have to allow trust, or we have to change trust, and we have to send the actual token. So so this is now basically the encoded version of our transaction. And so you could take this XDR and you could export it anywhere, and you could use whatever you want to sign this transaction if you were uncomfortable with inputting your secret key into a website, which is generally a very good practice to never ever input your secret key on any website. And if we were on mainnet, that would be a relevant consideration. But since we're on testnet, it is not a big deal. We can just go ahead and go to sign. And so that's our transaction envelope. And now, so we have to sign with our secret key from our distribution account that is adding that trust line. And we also have to sign with the secret key for the issuing account, since that also has its own transaction, which is that payment transaction. So we can sign with both of those. And if we were on mainnet, we could use a browser plugin like Albedo or Freighter to sign our transaction without exposing our secret key. Ethereum users are probably familiar with MetaMask, which is the same idea. It's a browser extension that protects your secret key and makes it so you never have to enter it on a website. It signs transactions for you without exposing your secret key, which is a very smart practice. So now you can see here, this is the transaction envelope with the signatures. So if you reveal this XDR anywhere, anyone could submit that to the Stellar network and it would go through and it would be signed correctly and everything. So, but this XDR doesn't reveal your secret key in it anywhere. So like if you wanted to create a transaction that somebody else could submit at their own leisure, or if you wanted to get an additional signature from them, you could give them this XDR that has your signature embedded in it. And then we'll go ahead and go to submit. And it should take only a few seconds here. And there we go. Green is good. If you had a problem, it would be red and it would pop up your errors. And so it's telling you that everything worked. And then this is detailing the exact transaction and everything that happened. So we established the body, changed trust. We established trust to asset test issued by this account. And then this account sent that test asset over. So we can go ahead and check it out on like Stellar Expert. Let's see what this link goes to. This link probably just goes to Raw Horizon, or it's not even an actual link. Let's go ahead and just copy that account and go over to Stellar Expert. The test network though. And we'll go ahead and put that account in. And there we go. We can see that it's got its 500 test token there. So, and we can scroll down here and look, and you can see that all the operations that happened. First, we established the trust line to the test asset, and then the test asset was transferred over. And these are separate operations, but they were batched in the same transaction. So you can see here that this is the transaction hash that you would look up on any block explorer. And you can see all the operations contained within that transaction. So Stellar blocks. So on the blockchain, you know, blocks are submitted for Stellar. Blocks close every 5 seconds, and there can be up to, I think it's either 50 or it's 100. There can be 100 transactions in a single block, and each transaction can have up to 50, or so wait, I think it's 50 transactions per block, and each transaction can have up to 100 operations. So that's a potential for 5,000 operations per block, which the blocks confirm every 5 seconds. So that's where you often see a figure when people are talking about transactions per second that a network can potentially process. At 5,000 transactions per 5-second blocks, you're looking at 1,000 transactions per second. And that is just the very basic, you know, non-optimized version of Stellar that's running right now, because it's nowhere close to hitting its transaction maximums these days. So there are ways that that can even be expanded out further. There are claims that Stellar can scale to up to 50,000 transactions per second instead of just the 1,000. But 1,000 transactions per second is huge. I mean, that rivals many like major credit card networks. That is enough for the foreseeable future. So as I was talking about that, I just kind of popped back over to the main page of Stellar Expert here, and we haven't talked about this yet. This gives a lot of the statistics for the overall Stellar network. So as you can see here, there's over 27,000 unique assets that people have created on mainnet. You know, there's almost 500 million individual payments, 70 million trades on the Stellar decentralized exchange. You can see the volume here of all the trades. You can see all the fees that have accumulated in the pool, 24-hour statistics. This is the last block, you know, and this gets updated every 4 or 5 seconds as blocks close. And you can scroll through here and see more about the network performance of Stellar and the ledgers. These are your ledger closing times. As you can see, it's usually around 5 seconds. You can see how many operations have been processed in each block. And you can see how many accounts have been created and how many are active daily. You can see new assets and trust lines. And so this just kind of gives you a general overview of Stellar Network. If you're looking for general statistics about the Stellar Network, Stellar Expert might not be your best choice. There are quite a few other options for exploring that. I prefer Stellar Expert specifically for how it displays assets and financial data and trade information. I really like their UI for that. But depending on what your priorities are, this might not be your preferred block explorer. There are quite a few others. And then if you're specifically interested in the overall network health and the statistics of the Stellar Network, I like Stellar Beat. That is a tool that was created and funded, I believe, from some of Stellar's community funding initiatives. And so this is a pretty cool viewer and visualizer for a lot of more in-depth network information about Stellar. Specifically, you can see how the different validators are trusting each other and how the quorum slices are being achieved. If there's nodes that are down, how many validators are running, and all sorts of useful back-end information for the Stellar network. So let's see, what else should we talk about? So that kind of was, I know I threw a lot of information at you and it was pretty dense about Stellar accounts and how to create assets and TOML files and all sorts of this back end on how to actually get into development on Stellar. And there are quite a few other great resources and tutorials out there if you're specifically looking to create your own token or create NFTs or whatever it is you might be doing that are much easier to follow in more of a tutorial format, because I'm just throwing out a lot of general backend information for you here. So let's see, what else would be useful to talk about? So, okay, we can start to wrap it up. I just wanted to talk real quickly about how you can use the different types of payment options for doing basic things like just sending a payment to someone, or something that's probably of interest is the manage offers. This is how you interact with the Stellar Decentralized Exchange, is you use the manage offer functionality. And so most people won't actually be interacting with these raw operation types. They'll probably be using a wallet interface. So like when you use Lobster Wallet, for example, I think I'd have to be signed in to actually see their interface, but they basically get rid of all that backend stuff so you don't have to see it and you can just interact with a nice clean wallet UI. So please let us know what else you want to learn about Stellar and other networks, and if you want us to get into NFTs or tokens or trading, and what other things you're interested in. So I can go ahead and stop my screen share here. We can hop back into the game and do some streaming while Jay is wrapping up for us.
Awesome. Thank you, Shane. That was great. And I highly encourage you to follow along the target game, which is now running 24/7. And you can actually start playing the target game remotely via Telegram. Go to shanejuris.com. It's down here in the notes to the video. And you can actually fire at the targets anytime that the range is live, which should be 24/7 from this point on. And we are operating at the Desert Blockchain Camp in Phoenix, Arizona, which is a collaborative space for blockchain activities, software development, and other exciting items. So we have these workshops every Saturday from 11 a.m. to noon, and you can follow along on meetup.com/desert-blockchain. You can also follow us on Twitter at Desert Block Hack and join in. It's going to be fun. we're just getting these started, and we're going to be adding a bunch of functionality to this. So we appreciate your time and your attention. And if you're a citizen, we appreciate your financial support at $10 a month via Patreon. And you can also join us on the 25th of August at 7 p.m. Arizona time, which is also 7 p.m. Pacific time. And we will be talking about real estate and blockchain. That'll be an hour-long session. It's free to watch via the live stream, and you can join the actual Zoom conversation if you're a citizen. So again, my name's Jay Carpenter, desertblockchain.com. Thanks for your time and attention, and we look forward to seeing you in the future at another workshop or one of our